Welcome back. I want to talk portable pressure cleaning systems and three of our biggest sellers here at Ionic Systems Australia and Blue Tongue Industries. I want to talk about the main differences between these three systems and how they may function within your business. So they're all variable RPM. So variable RPM will vary the flow and pressure in relation to unloader valves. They all have different performance factors and different setups. In relation to hose reels can be mounted on the handle assemblies, and depending on which particular system may suit you will determine the size of the hose reel that will go on top of that pressure cleaning system, which will enable you to wind up the hose a bit quicker at the end of that particular task. Let's talk about the smallest system in the range, and this is 2700 PSI at 11.3 litres a minute. So a Honda GX200 Comet pump, so variable RPM, adjustable unloader valve. Now this particular system is mounted on a steel frame with solid tyres. So in relation to the smallest system and the next one up, you'll note that when you're operating these particular systems at a RPM, that RPM can be from max in relation to max pressure, or a lower RPM in regards to a slightly less pressure and flow. But because the wheels are solid in relation to the front mounts, the system will jump around quite a bit. So you need to be aware of that in relation to the system may walk around your driveway or deck as you're cleaning that particular area. So like the smallest system in the next size up, the next major difference is in relation to the drive and coupling of the pump. So in this system and the next one up, we'll see that, and I want to talk about direct drive. So the pump on this, being a Comet pump, is directly coupled to the Honda GX200. So what does that mean? So that means in relation to RPM, we're at an RPM, when we're running at max, it's going to run at just over 3400 RPM. So the pump is going to work quite hard. Both these systems are fantastic systems within the range, very reliable and great performance. But in talking about this, we'll talk about a different way that we can hook up the pump in relation to stepping up in the range. So little system, direct drive, we'll run a 12-inch surface cleaner, and we can jet that as required. Variable unloader valve, Honda GX200, 11.3 litres a minute at 2700 PSI. We can mount the hose reel on the handle, solid tyres, and a way that we can stop the system walking, and even in the larger system is put pneumatic tyres on these particular systems and run them at a lower RPM. The systems in relation to this particular system has an internal bypass, not like the next one up, in relation to an internal runaround. So what does that mean? So when we take the hand off your trigger in relation to water flow, the water is going to do a recirculation within the pump. So that means that if you have your hand off the pump for an extended period of time, the pump is going to get warm. So the detriment of that is running a warm pump or a hot pump, if it's for super extended periods of time, will reduce the life of the pump. So it has an internal bypass, so you need to be aware if technically your phone rings, you need to go back to the machine, shut it off, and you can't allow it to continue to run without water flow for extended periods of time. It has a thermal discharge that will activate, but that's the way this particular system will run. Great, fantastic machine, well priced. You can see all the pricing at ionicsystems.com.au. Very lightweight and portable. The next particular system up is 4000 PSI at 15 litres per minute. It is direct drive in relation to its smaller little brother, a direct coupling to the Honda GX390 engine. You'll notice the bypass on this particular unit. It has a manual unloader valve, but the bypass is in recirculation and is external. So you ask us about modifying that, and we can dump that to the ground if you have one of these particular systems. So that'll mean if you take your hand off the trigger, instead of the water recirculating in the pump, it'll be dumped to the ground. On the larger systems, trailer mounts, van mount installations, that particular bypass would go back to the water tank. So both these systems, variable RPM, variable pressure, variable flow, they do come with a single lance. We can supply them in addition with a dual lance, which will also vary the pressure and flow at the end of the particular lance. Solid tyres, like the smaller unit, we can put pneumatic tyres on it to stop it moving around on the particular surface when you're cleaning, and we can mount a hose reel on the handle assembly above yonder there. So as we move up in the range, so those two particular systems are direct drive. So the pumps are going to turn at a bit over 3,400 RPM, which probably won't mean much, but they're fantastic units. It just means that the pumps are going to work harder in regards to this next particular system, which we're going to talk about here. Running Comet pumps. So as we move up in the range once again, we're still running a Honda GX390, which is the same as that particular system over there, which is 4,015 litres a minute. But this Honda GX390 is attached to a larger Comet pump, and the main difference in relation to attachment is the reduction gearbox. So there is a gearbox with its own reservoir in between the pump and the motor, and on this particular unit, this pump is only going to rotate at about 1450 RPM. So what does that mean? So that means a lower RPM pump, the long-term longevity of this particular pump, because it's not working as hard, the life expectancy is going to be a lot longer in this particular machine. So it is mounted in a roll cage. It does look different. The roll cage does have weight. We can add a handle in relation to pushing this around. It does come with pneumatic tyres. So in relation to the unit jumping around and walking is going to be dramatically reduced. And even the way that the pump and motor combo is bolted to the frame, it is on another vibration isolator plate. So we have the vibration isolator plate, the pneumatic tyres, and with a heavier all-up weight, it's going to sit pretty stationary. The reduction gearbox in relation to that particular machine, which is 4,015 litres a minute, same engine, bigger pump with the reduction gearbox. At a slower RPM, we're going to get 3,500 PSI out of this particular system, 15 litres a minute. So we're losing roughly 500 PSI putting in the reduction gearbox, but the pump is only turning at approximately half the speed of the other two machines. So built to last, very longevity of this particular system. Easily push a 21-inch surface cleaner, a 16 or a 12-inch. This particular system here, we'd probably only couple up at 11.3 litres a minute, a little 12-inch surface cleaner, and the mid of the range, we could run a 12, 16 or 21-inch surface cleaner from that particular system. So I hope this is a good overview in relation to the three biggest sellers within the range. You can see all the pricing on the ionixsystems.com.au website. Come back to us. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video.